and Bob Show.
It is now time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you by Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, by Murphy Builder Supply and First Southern Bank. Here we are on Friday, and Bob, it's Friday the 13th. Does that bother you in any type of way?
No.
Not really?
No.
Just another number, right? Just another number, just another day.
I like 13. That's a good number.
That's a good number? Yeah. Okay, well, here we are on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. And not only can you listen to the world-famous Butch and Bob Show right here on 105.5 FM, as usual, you can listen to it on our website at bigdogcountry.com and just click on live feed, live stream. But also, you can watch it, video, live stream video of the world-famous Butch and Bob Show on bigdogcountry.com on the live stream. You'll see our smiling, happy faces on there, too. Right, Bob?
I got a face for radio.
All right. Here we go, Bob. Who do we have as our guest?
We got Hospital Administrator Ierardi again. A lot going on with this COVID. You hear it on the national news and Fox News. It's just out of control right now. Georgia back in the red area. So just want to get a handle on what's going on here in Wayne County. And no one knows that better than the man here in the studio.
I don't know if I know better than anyone, but again, I think Wayne County. Well, good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for allowing me to be here.
Good morning, Joe.
I think like Wayne County's done from the very beginning, we're doing a great job. We've seen numbers stay pretty flat throughout this. We had a big spike in late June, July, and we had a nursing home outbreak and the outbreak at the prison. But all in all, we have done very well. And I've talked to you guys several times, and the people in our community do a good job. They're wearing their masks. They're doing the right things. They're doing the things that need to be done to be able to help to contain it. You're not going to eliminate it. It's a very contagious virus, so you're not going to eliminate it. But we can do things to borrow the saying to decrease the spread. You're not going to necessarily stop the spread, but you're going to decrease it. And I think we've done an excellent job here of not seeing cases get out of control right now. So I would continue to tell people to be smart and wear their masks and just avoid the things that need to be avoided, but do the things that you want to do and just in a common sense, safe manner.
The school system gave their numbers at the board meeting the other day. They got 6,000 students and
tremendous job.
Teachers, and the numbers are down under 10 each week. So, I mean, that's good news. What about the hospital? What have we seen at the hospital?
The same that we've always seen. We get our share of a few patients here and there, but give credit to the school system. School system has done a tremendous job from the time they have opened their doors to be able to have minimal disruption with our school system. Give those folks a ton of credit from the top all the way down the ladder.
Give credit to the students. I mean, you're worried about will they behave and do it, but the students have been really good about wearing masks. The teachers and administrators have, of course. We expected that, but the students, they're doing a good job too.
Students have done a great job. The school system as a whole, fantastic job. Again, I'm going to go back to this we talked about earlier. How about this great job the federal prison did? They had their outbreak. They were able to contain it. They were able to work with us. They were able to do some things out there, and they were able to handle it. And also, we can't forget the nursing homes here in town. You read all the time about, nursing home outbreaks and how it just causes all kinds of community spread. We had a nursing home that had a little bit of an issue. They worked very diligent. They got it under control. So, give all of those folks credit as well. And, we can't help, but we've got to give our physicians that are taking care of these patients, that are getting them on the proper treatments that they see fit to keep folks from getting sick and from getting, having to be hospitalized or getting very ill. And, if you take a test, if I can we'll talk about different things we can do that are the common sense things to do. But one of the things I think that really helps folks is that if you test positive for the coronavirus, and you may get tested at an outside agency, that's fine, wherever you got tested. Make sure your physician knows that you've tested positive. Communicate that with your physician and their staff. He or she may want to put you on some kind of medication, but it would be good for them just to know so they can keep tabs on you. And if you start not to feel well, maybe they can prescribe you something to maybe get you over the hump. A lot of folks do get the coronavirus and they ride it out at home. There's a lot that do. There's some that maybe can't do that, but it's very, very important that if you get a positive test, make sure your physician knows that you've tested positive.
The other thing that you hear all the time is how it affects people differently. We've seen that with people we know. I mean, some people, like I said, some people get it. They don't have a lot of symptoms. They ride it out at home. This is no big deal. Other people have to go to the hospital, and it's just a real tough time. I mean, we know several people that are in that situation. But how's the hospital as far as crowd-wise? I mean, has it been overwhelming? Has it been?
No,
I mean, what are the numbers?
Really can't speak about that with privacy laws. But what I will say is that we're managing extremely well. That's not only a testament to the people in this community, but the physicians and our nursing staff and all the staff that works at the hospital do an excellent job. These folks are going into the fire, and we've learned so much more about this virus from March. It's incredible. So I would say that we're managing extremely well for a lot of reasons. A lot of what I talked about, a lot of it is too, is because we've learned a lot about this disease and what works and what doesn't work. Remember, basically, we got this very, very contagious disease that attacked your respiratory system, and it just showed up, and nobody knew nothing about it. And so some of these folks in the very beginning, they were basically driving blind, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. But as time has gone on, we've seen the different things that work, and you've seen treatment patterns, and you've seen the mortality rate has dropped dramatically from when we first had the virus. So I'm very encouraged about how we're learning, and I tend to agree with some of the experts. I think we still have a ways to go, but I think we're on the downward trend on this, especially with the really positive, exciting new news with the Pfizer vaccine.
I know that's really looking promising from all the information that I've heard about it, that new vaccine that they're working on. Well, all vaccines would be new with this, but the vaccine they're working on is going to work.
I think so. The 90.
We'll see, but the 90 looks positive.
Right, the 90% effective rate is kind of off the charts. To be honest with you, I think a lot of what I read was if they got 60 to 70%, they were going to be ecstatic to get 90%. And let's remember, there's a lot of companies. Moderna, I think GlaxoSmithKline. There's others that are working on a vaccine. And Pfizer just got to the finish line first. But I think as time goes on, you're going to see several vaccines from different companies that are going to be able to produce the same types of results. I don't think it's just I think folks get confused that first one who gets it wins. No, they're just going to be the first one to distribute it. That doesn't mean there's not going to be several other companies that are going to be able to have a vaccine that's going to be just as good. I take it as, some people take Advil, some people take Tylenol. It kind of has the same result. It's just, it may be a little bit different, but it's made by two different companies. So
it seems like the entire world's been waiting on America in a sense, because China got it several months before we did, and Europe got it worse way before we did. But it seems to be American pharmaceutical companies that are coming up with a solution to the problem. Makes me wonder what's going on in these other countries.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do, and I'm by no means being political here, but it was very, very important, this Operation Warp Speed, that a lot of the stringent things, regulations were kind of relaxed so these folks could get to work.
So some of the red tape was removed.
Some of the red tape was removed.
So the drug get out there sooner.
Whether it be by the FDA, someone else in Washington, D.C., but I think that has helped. Mm-hmm. But it also is a testament to the innovation and knowledge and just intellect power that we have in this country is astounding.
Well, the president then put it on Operation Warp Drive,
right?
To move a lot of the red tape out of there and put the resources in there to get the vaccine out as quick as possible, and it seems to have worked.
It seems to have worked. There's a lot of things that are positive, but we don't need to let our guard down. We still need to be smart about how we deal with the virus. We're still in a pandemic. While we see all these wonderful, promising things, and no one's more excited than I am, but we still have to use our head. We have to be smart in how we go about our daily lives, especially the biggest one is we talked about letting your physician know if you test positive. But if you go and you get tested and it takes 2 days to get your test back, please self-quarantine until you get the results of your test.
Right.
If you felt sick enough to go, or there was a reason why you got a test, then there could be a reason then why you think you may be positive. Please just stay home. Once you if you test negative, please go ahead and be able to do things. But until then, because that's where we tend to we could get ourselves in trouble is folks go get tested. They really don't think there's any chance they have it. Then they go here, they go there. Then the test comes back positive. And now next thing we know, we have not done on purpose, but we have spread this thing unintentionally. So I go back to that. If you go and get tested, self-quarantine until you get your results.
Whether you've had any symptoms or not. Because a lot of times people go get tested because they've been contacted, say, hey, so-and-so you were around, tested positive, you need to go get tested too. And so during that time period, even though you might not feel anything, self-quarantine if you've been around somebody who's been tested positive, even if you don't feel symptoms at all.
And it's very important that if you're around somebody, if you're around someone today and you found out that they tested positive, you really need to wait a minimum of 3 to 4 days to get tested. Also, what's happening is we're seeing that some folks may find out today they were exposed to someone who they were with yesterday, and then they immediately go and get tested. Well, the virus may not be live yet in your system. So we tell folks wait 3 or 4 days, and then you'll know, because then you'll test negative, and then 3 or 4 days later, you'll start not to feel well and go from there.
We had a text come in. Remember, you can text in questions and comments to us at 912-427-3711, 427-3711. Let's say several companies do come out with vaccines, let's say in January and February. This person, listener right here, wants to know which vaccine would you pick from?
Wow, great question. Again, I consult with my physician. I would consult with my physician. They're all going to have an FDA approval. They all should have an approval. They're all going to be deemed safe, or they won't come to the market. But I don't know enough about what types of side effects some may have. Potentially all vaccines have potential side effects. That's not anything new.
It's like every medication, though. You get a bottle and you take a look at it. Well, this is going to relieve your back pain, and you look at all the possible side effects. There's a lot in just about every medication.
Absolutely right. You're right, and that's why I would again consult with your physician. Your physician knows your health and your body as good as you do, and I would encourage folks, if they do not have a primary care physician, that they go and get one for that reason. Having a physician to go see for a checkup is obviously very important. To get your annual checkup, your annual screenings are very important. But now, I've had a lot of folks come to me and tell me why, and they say to me, Joe, now I know why you told me I needed to have a physician. So I would consult my physician once they came out, and they'll be able to tell you kind of which one they think fit. And they may have a preference, just like there's 2 or 3 different drugs that do the same things, and that physician may have a preference of which one he or she thinks works better. So that would be my advice.
Okay. We carry on our AM station, Fox Sports Radio, and one of the most popular programs on there is the Dan Patrick Show with Dan Patrick, who's a very well-known sports broadcaster here in America. And he said that yesterday, after studies were done this past week on why we're having such a spike in student athletes in football having testing positive for COVID and so many games being canceled, stems back from Halloween get-togethers, because you had Halloween and suddenly you got this big spike going up here. So you got a lot of these student athletes that were at Halloween get-togethers of some sort, or they were around somebody that was at a Halloween get-together. So Halloween, because of so many people getting together, seems to have caused, in part, if not mainly, this big spike we're having here in America.
Well, I guess these Halloween parties didn't say, wear a costume, but make sure it includes something with a mask. That would have been the easy thing to do. I'm going to have a Halloween party, but you can wear whatever costume, but it has to be a theme with a mask. I think that's possible. To really nail down where this thing comes from and where you get it from is very difficult. I mean, we're within 2 weeks of Halloween, so I think that's definitely possible. I think where the colleges were very smart most of them are, and I know I can speak, especially with my daughter's school, but most of them, they're finishing up before Thanksgiving. So these students are going to be home or off campus from Thanksgiving and Christmas, and won't show up till after the first of the year.
Yeah.
So
Many of them are not going back in college.
Right. So
after
most are,
Thanksgiving.
right. They're coming home. So they're not coming home for Thanksgiving, going back to campus for 2 or 3 weeks, and then coming home for a month. So, which could potentially, if that's the case with Halloween, you would think potentially the same could be true with Thanksgiving. So
And they are concerned about Thanksgiving. I mean, Chicago's going ahead and pass stringent rules and regulations for Thanksgiving up there, and we don't want to have that happen in America. So Thanksgiving could be the same thing.
could very well
But
could
you're
be,
not
but
around as many
Correct.
strangers as you are on
Correct.
Halloween. You're more intimate family, close family.
It just goes back to what we talked about. If you go and get a coronavirus test on Tuesday before Thanksgiving and your results haven't come back, don't go to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving. Tell them to bring you home a plate. I know that's not what you want, but you know that's the types of things you got to do. Or if you wake up Thanksgiving morning and you don't feel good, don't go to Thanksgiving dinner.
Mentioning Thanksgiving, I hadn't heard anything about the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
They're not having it.
Oh, they're not having it.
Oh, they are.
They are having the parade.
With nobody's allowed to watch it. They're just going to go down.
You're still going to have the parade. I understand the balloons are only going to go for. I've heard different things about it, so I know you know more about it. Go ahead.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that they are going to have it, but with no spectators.
So you'll just watch it on TV.
You would watch it on TV. It'd be a virtual Zoom
like
or
football,
virtual,
yeah.
right? Double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the
One
case.
thing I wanted to ask you, and Nick Saban is the most famous case of it. How many false positive cases are out there?
Depends on the test that you go. That's a lot of these rapid tests, you need to ask if you go get a rapid test if it's molecular.
If it's what?
Molecular. And let me explain to that. Okay? Because it was explained to me. A molecular test is on a rapid is 99.9% accurate. The rapid tests that just look for an antigen, I think it's called PCR, those have a 35 to 40% false negative rating. So if you go and get a rapid test, and it's not molecular, but it tells you you're positive, take it to the bank. But if you're negative, there's a 35 to 40% chance that that's a false negative. So if you get a rapid test, ask the provider if it's molecular. But what I would tell folks is the send-out tests are coming back now in about 2 days or so. That's the best way to do it, is to go get the send-out. It goes to a big professional lab. They do a molecular test. They double-check it, and then you can really feel satisfied about your results.
Well, yes, there's going to be a Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and usually it's 2.5 miles long because you've got thousands of people lined up on each side of the road. Well, you don't need 2.5 miles worth of parade because you're not going to have the crowd out there. Basically, it's going to be a made-for-TV event. And so you only need to go a couple of blocks.
Right.
They'll start it, they'll have it on television, and then they'll disband. And so they're not going to do the long walk thing because you don't need it because the crowd's not going to be there. So they'll set up, they'll go for a couple of blocks, and they'll disband.
Gotcha.
And so it's a made-for-TV event. So yes, we at home can do our traditional Thanksgiving morning watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade starting at 9 o'clock. It's just they won't be a crowd there, but you'll still have a whole bunch of folks.
Bob's excited.
Watching on TV.
Bob's excited. They'll have the Mighty Mouse balloon this year.
That's right. He is mighty excited about the Mighty Mouse. Yes, sir.
Underdog.
An underdog. Yes, sirree. So that's what's going on.
Bullwinkle.
You'll see it, but you just nobody there in person. So don't go just a couple of blocks with the balloons and the events and the singing, the dancing, and the marching bands and all that. It's just a made-for-TV event.
And Butch, if I may, I also we'd like to thank, on behalf of the hospital, thank everyone in the community for their support during all this. There's been a lot of love and support for the folks that work in that building. Those frontliners, they're heroes. They're jumping into the fire where everybody else is kind of backing off. And we appreciate everyone working with us on our visitor policy. We know that folks want to come and visit their loved ones in the hospital, and we like for those folks to be in there with them. It makes their stay more enjoyable. But we appreciate everyone being patient with us. We've got to provide protection, for the folks that work in that building. Their moms, their dads, their wives, their aunts, their uncles, just like everybody else. And we owe it to them to provide any kind of protection that we can afford them for when they go home to their families, and also to provide that continuity of care for the patients. It doesn't do any good if we get a bunch of folks that contact this disease and have to be out in 2 weeks, and now we have a harder time taking care of patients. So it's kind of on both ends. So we know it's difficult and stuff, but I think in the response, really, I appreciate everyone that's worked with us and has really given support and say that they agree 1,000% with our policy, to protect everyone involved.
You ever been to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade?
No.
Never have.
No. It's always cold. Number one, it's always record. It's always record cold whenever they have that thing, and
I didn't know why you were up there or visiting or
too
lived up
crowded.
that area that you ever saw it.
And the other thing about Thanksgiving morning too is usually. High school football is huge on Thanksgiving morning. You usually play your crosstown rival that day. It's the last day of school. Last game of the season usually. So there's high school football in the Northeast is enormous on Thanksgiving morning.
Oh, is it?
Yes, enormous.
Not down here, but it is up there?
Yep.
Wow.
10:30 in the morning usually.
Thanksgiving Day
morning.
High school football.
In the morning.
In the Northeast up there.
10:30 in the morning. Games kick off.
Did you know that, Bob?
And by 1
Did you know
o'clock,
that in
game's over.
Pittsburgh?
No.
No? Okay. It was just a New York thing, huh?
Who are the Lions playing on Thanksgiving Day, do you know? Because it's always the Lions and the
Lions and Cowboys.
I know my Steelers playing Thanksgiving night
I'm
against the
trying to
Ravens.
remember. I'm trying to block it out as the Lions are just.
The Lions just aren't doing good.
They're horrible.
Neither are the Cowboys, but Steelers-Ravens game will be fun during Thanksgiving night before we head to Jones County on Friday.
Well, I can't. Is the Bears?
I'm not sure.
All right, on the 26th on Thanksgiving
Or the
Day,
Texans.
there'll be the Texans and the Lions. The Texans will be at the Lions at 12:30, and then Washington will be taking on the Cowboys in that exciting game between the Washington football team. What a terrible name for a...
They have 3 wins between the two of them.
The Washington football team taking on the Dallas Cowboys. So you got Texas and Lions at 12:30, Washington and Cowboys at 4:30, and then at night, Ravens and Steelers at night at 8:20.
Oh boy!
That's right. You don't know where Bob will be.
Don't go anywhere near. What time's that game?
That's at 8:20.
Beginning at 7:30 Thanksgiving night. Don't anyone call or text Bob Morgan. He will be glued to that TV intense. And if you call him, he's going to bite your head off, especially if the Steelers are losing. So leave Bob Morgan alone.
Well, the Pittsburgh beat them the other day, but this is the second time around, so it'll be interesting to see what happens between the Steelers and Ravens. That should be the best game of the day right there that night. Yeah. The other ones have got so-so teams.
Nah.
I guess Washington is trying to see if they can win their division with a losing record, them and the Eagles. Cowboys seem to be out of it, even though they did win the other day. Yeah.
No one's out of that division.
You could have 3 wins, maybe.
5 wins might win that division.
5 wins may do it.
Brutal.
That's brutal.
Getting back to the virus, I think also what's good during this holiday season is make sure that we check on folks. We all have folks who are neighbors that maybe live alone, regardless of age. Make sure that we're checking on those folks as well. Make sure that they're being looked at, being taken care of, and just checking on folks if they're not feeling well.
Okay.
Well, again,
That's a good idea.
I'm just glad the numbers, when you read look at the national scene, it's just out of control. But here locally, it seems
Even in the
to
state
be-
of Georgia, I mean,
Well, Georgia's back in the red zone.
but what does that mean?
I don't know. You tell me what that means.
I don't know.
That's why we got
Is that
you
a
here.
certain percentage spike or something? I don't know.
I don't know what it means. I
You're
mean,
the expert.
last time I checked, day before yesterday, there was 150,000 cases or so in the country, and I think Georgia there was 1,800 that day. So how is Georgia in a red zone?
Well, red zone maybe
when it's-
compared to what we've had.
I mean,
No.
I don't
But, you
understand.
get some of these states like California, Oregon, Washington, and some of these states like that who've all, I've got a sister that lives up in Washington State, and their rules and regulations and what they can and can't do have been, definitely stringent ever since the beginning, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you've got some of these states who've had lots of rules and regulations of what you can and can't do. Just restrictions that we probably couldn't live with here in the South on a long time basis. But they're spiking just as much as the states that have looser restrictions. It's amazing.
Well, what happens is, whether a lockdown works or doesn't work, you can debate that. But if we're on lockdown, okay, that's fine. We still have to go do essential things. So if I'm on lockdown, I've got to go to the grocery store. And I was tested yesterday, and I still go to the grocery store. That defeats the purpose of a lockdown.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, think about that. So, I mean, all of this, lockdown, don't lockdown, to each his own. It all goes back to just common sense principles. If you don't feel good, stay home, which you should do anyway. If you don't feel good, stay home. If you're waiting on a test result, stay home. And by all means, if you've tested positive, wait your time at home and then go out. I would like to know, and there's no way to know that in these, because there's states that are locked down, that their cases are increasing.
Right.
Well, I would love to know, there's no way, too, of how many of these folks didn't follow those simple rules.
Well, that's the thing about it is we've got the suggested rules and regulated rules and things that we should do, but a lot of people don't follow them. Like over a month ago, if I went into a certain huge discount store in this area, they were probably about 90 to 95% of the people who had masks on. But last week, only about 50% of them had it on. Okay? You go to sporting events like softball games, football games, and other games like that are outside. The people don't have masks on, and they're yelling and screaming, plus they're spraying stuff everywhere. Wear your mask when you're out there at these outdoor events.
Right.
So if you're an outdoor event, yeah, you may be outdoors, but you're still within striking range of the person in front of you, beside you, back of you, whatever the case may be. So wear the mask when you're around other folks. And like you said, if you are tested, stay home. Wash your hands, sanitize your hands. I try to sanitize everything here at the station every day. You do what you can.
That's right.
And if we do that, it'll go down. But I think a lot of folks, we've been under these guidelines now since March, and a lot of people are just getting tired of them.
But
just getting tired of them.
But I go back to this across the board. Our community has done a great job. I mean, all across the board, from, again, the school system, prison system, the nursing homes, all the way down across the board of being responsible and doing the right things. We've done a tremendous job here, and we just need to. I feel like we're about to turn the corner and come down the home stretch. Let's not let our guard down. Let's see this thing through, and then hopefully we can all go back to a time when, what normal will be. I don't know. Nobody knows. But we can get back to that time when we're.
Now, is the vaccine for folks who, let's say the vaccine is approved and it's out by the 1st of next year, January, let's say, would that be for folks who have tested positive, or for folks who are to get it so they won't get it? Do you get the vaccine not to get it, or do you get a vaccine to cure what you've got?
The vaccine's preventative, just like the flu. It's just like the flu shot. Now, again, there's a big debate out there whether or not, if you get the coronavirus, can you get it again? How long you have the antibodies? Nobody knows the data. This hasn't been out long enough for the data to be true either way. I would think, and again, without reading it, I would think that even if you had the coronavirus, it's just like if you had the flu. Mm-hmm. If you've had the flu, you still get the flu shot every year. I would think it would be the same thing with it being a virus. But what I would say is that probably everybody will take it. Now, I don't know if it'll be an annual thing like a flu shot. I'm wondering if my first thoughts are, you go get your flu shot and you get your coronavirus shot. I think the next thing what you may find is someone will be, and this probably take a while, find a way to include both in one. I don't know if that can be done.
Well, the amount of folks who get flu shots in America is not a great high percentage of the folks who live in America. Not very high at all. But
until this year.
Yeah, but with the coronavirus, we've got over 300 million people in this country. You're looking at over 300 million shots, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would say you're looking at 300. I mean, if there's 300 and some odd million people live in this country, I would think you would need that many doses. And I think, and don't quote me on this, there's so many different vaccines. I think the Pfizer, you take one and then you wait 28 days and get the second one. And again, I'm not sure how long. Is it, if that's annually? Is it every 2 years? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the Pfizer shot is you take one and then 28 days later. And then there was a gentleman on one of the news programs that was actually somebody who was in one of the people that they gave the shot to. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know whether or not he was somebody who, because they don't tell you, either you're given the live virus or if they give you a placebo to try to check the results.
Right.
And he said they asked him when he got the shot, did he have any side effects? And he said, my arm was sore, and he said I had a little bit of a headache. He said, but nothing that just taking a little Advil didn't take. And some folks that have gotten a flu shot sometimes complain about the same thing.
Right.
So I think it's very similar, but it's exciting.
Let's hope it does come out by the first of the year, and we can get this 2020 year coronavirus behind us, Get out of here. Get back to somewhat of a normal life. But, Joe, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to give us an update on the COVID-19 situation. Folks, just be smart. Just follow those guidelines, and it'll help tremendously. Joe, have a good weekend. Bob, anything else? All right. Y'all have a good day. All right, the world-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by First Southern Bank, by Murphy Builder Supply, and by Damon's Famous Fingers and Wings, all located here in Jessup. The time now is 8:32. Remember, coming up soon, we're going to give away a couple of more free tickets to the Wayne County Young Farmers Truck and Tractor Pull. Right now, let's check in the latest news from Fox News Radio.